So, for today's topic, as we have on the agenda, we are going to be doing a deep dive into the Sophos ecosystem, Sophos products. So, I will try to be um, as short as possible because Sophos has quite a few products. But let's try to give a quick look to each and every one of them. So, before we move on with the products, I have a few interesting pieces of information about Sophos. Sophos has over 30 years already in the market, being a security company since the beginning. Um, Sophos was founded in Oxford and is a British company, so has over 3,500 employees around the world. Over half a million customers now, over 100 million users in 150 countries. And this is something really, really, really important. Channel partners, because they are the foundation of Sophos businesses. Sophos does not do any direct sales to end customers. It always goes through resellers that about the partner program that Sophos has available. This will be one of the topics in our last webinar of this series. So please keep attending and stay tuned to it so you can get all of this information um, on that presentation. So as mentioned, Sophos does not sell anything directly to end customers. It has always to go through one of its partners. So if a customer goes directly to Sophos requesting information from a product, what Sophos will do is that they will send us that lead to us, the distributors, and we can assign it to a partner that we know that can fulfill the needs of that customer. So it's very important for you to be knowledgeable about Sophos because that is what we take into consideration when sending leads over. Sometimes Sophos sends it to us as a distributor, so we can choose who gets that specific lead, or Sophos send it directly to one of the top partners in the region for this specific customer. So building up your reputation, your knowledge, your skills in Sophos, it's valuable to us. Now, just to give you a quick overview of the Sophos reach, these are some of our customers um, in the global scale. So you can see here we have pretty important brands such as Homeland Department Security in the US, BBC, Ford, HP, DHL, SAP, Verizon, Toyota, and so many others across the world. And also we have some in the Latin American region. So for example, this is a government institution in Dominican Republic, AT&T, Petrobras, which is a Brazilian fuel and oil company, Wendy's, Shell, ICBC, and some others as well, like T Systems, Coca-Cola, Marriott hotel chain, Burger King, Lala, so many organizations across the Latin American region that it's over 50,000 of the customers that we have only in the Latin American region. And Sophos can span its diversity across finance, government, education, healthcare, commercial, logistics, you name it. Any kind of industry can benefit from Sophos products. But why Sophos? Well, Sophos has been on a track record of product leadership and getting validation and awards from the most demanding companies in the security business, such as MRG Offitas, Gartner, Forrester, NSS Labs, SC Labs, and so on. So, Sophos has been in the leaders quadrant, on the magic quadrant from Gartner, for over 13 times now. So, our biggest competitors are CrowdStrike, Microsoft, SentinelOne, and Cybereason. They have been up to 3 times in the leaders quadrant, while Sophos has over 13 years back to back being an endpoint leader solution in the Gartner's Magic Quadrant. Um, Forrester Wave put us as a leader as well. NSS Labs as a recommended solution. SE Magazine as a 4.8 uh, solution as well. SE Labs as a triple A. But that doesn't stop there. To me, the most important thing about Sophos is this qualification. And why? Because this is not what Gartner is saying. Gartner Peer Insights, it's a survey that that Gartner conducts on its customers and to see what solution they like the most, what solution they feel comfortable with. So this what you see here. These are customer reviews. This is customer ranking. So Sophos has ranked the number one solution both in firewalls and endpoints, giving an average percentage of recommendation of a 95, 96% respectively, and a customer average rating of 4.7 and 4.8 respectively as well. So Sophos is a very liked solution for its customers. Now, as you can see here as well, this is customer choice 2022 as well. Sophos has a 4.8 rating on 379 ratings, which is quite frankly a lot because not of all of the customers they used to leave reviews online. So Sophos has been on top of Checkpoint, Palo Alto, Fortinet, Cisco, and we have customers that have over 50 million in revenue in distinct sectors. So, for example, we have government in Asia Pacific, services in North America, retail services in Europe, um, finance in Europe, healthcare Europe, education North America, finance Europe. So it's all over the place, all over the world. People is very much satisfied with what Sophos has been providing for them. Now, this will be the main focus of our presentation today because what we are going to do is that we are going to go uh, to be talking about Sophos products overall. So we start with the flagship of the company, which is the endpoint protection and the server protection. Now, keep in mind that we have it separated because Sophos licensing is separate for endpoints and servers because they have a few different features that are only available for
Hello?
each one of them.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Hassan.
How are you doing?
Doing very good. How about yourself?
I am good, thank you.
That's good to know.
I apologize. I apologize for being late on the meeting.
No worries. We are just getting started.
Great.
So, as I was just mentioning, Sophos endpoint and servers, they have separate licensing. So let's talk a little bit about it. Sophos endpoint, it's not just an antivirus solution. This is an endpoint protection suite, which you have security, which is the primary reason for threat defense. So you have 0-day malware detection, behavior scanning, but also you get web filtering, which you can do in both the endpoints and the servers. I'm going to talk a little bit about the similarities of both of them, and then we are going to take on what are the difference between the two. So you have your security policies, you have web filtering, you have peripheral control in which you can define if the user is going to be allowing or not Bluetooth adapters, sound cards, USB devices, cameras, microphones, you name it. All of the peripherals of the computer could be easily managed with the peripheral control. Also, you have web filtering, in which you can filter web categories, whether you want to allow it or go ahead with consent or just allow them all. You also have ransomware protection, which is a special part of what Sophos does. And with this ransomware protection, you get two modules. You get the ransomware, and also you get a shadow file copy, which is CryptoGuard. CryptoGuard basically does a shadow copy of all of your system files whenever there is an active threat ongoing. So let's say if by any means the hardware was so sophisticated that it managed to go through the different defense layers that Sophos has, shadow copy will start copying the files that the malware is starting to encrypt, the ransomware is encrypting, to provide you um, with a safeguard for your files within the system. So even though the ransomware is encrypting the files, you are not losing any information because right after the encryption, Sophos is making a shadow copy of it right next to it. But the beauty of it is that you may be worrying about how much space would you need for that. And the truth is that it's very small space because Sophos is able to detect and respond in a window time of 20 to 150 milliseconds. So in that time, there is not a lot of damage that a malware will be able to do to your systems in the time that Sophos is fighting against it. And also, it's able to even protect the master boot record because there are some kind of malwares that they try to encrypt the boot sequence of the computer so you are not able to even get into the system. So you need to just discard your hard drive and start all over again from a clean computer. So for those cases, so CryptoGuard it's able to also protect your master boot record. Also, you have firewall management, you have data loss prevention, uh, and this is where things start to get a little bit separated from the endpoint and the server. Now, they both share those same characteristics, but from now on, they are a little bit different because the server also has an optimization to be run on a server computer, which means that the install agent will be detecting the operative system that you have, and it will be letting you know if you can proceed with that specific agent on that device or not. So if you try to install a server agent in a non-server operative system, it will let you know that it's not able to be done. That's the first thing. Also, um, the server agent has a file integrity monitor, which by default scans all of the system paths. However, you can also set custom directories to have them scan for any file changes so you can keep track of it. Also, the server has something that we call server lockdown, which is an additional layer in which not even an administrator, like Windows user with administrator rights, would be able to make some changes to the systems. It will have to be unlocked directly from Sophos to then be able to modify some settings on the system. Moving on, we have Sophos Mobile. Sophos Mobile is pretty much a mobile solution in which you have mobile application management, mobile device management. Basically, is a full suite of managing your mobile devices, which includes Chromebooks, Windows laptops if you choose to, MacBooks, um, Androids devices being phones and tablets, also iPhones, iPads. So basically, that pretty much all of the mobile range of devices that we have as of today, in which you can have application management, you can have device control. For example, you can do a deployment based on the device type. So, for example, for company owned devices, you can deploy it as a device manager, and you can have full control of the device. And for personal owned phones, let's say if a manager, some C-level executive wants to have access to some of the company resources on their mobile phone, their personal phone, um, you could have even a partition inside of the phone. So you can have a site which is a company site, and all of the resources are encrypted and safeguarded on that part of the phone. And you can have then the personal files and applications and so on, which is separated from the workspace inside of the device. Now, when you have the device in device management mode, when the company is the owner of the device, you can have track of what is the telephone consumption, meaning data, calls, messages, and so on. You can specify if you want to have your own server for the applications or if you want to use the Google Play Store in the case of the Android devices. Um, you could have device wiping, so remotely you can wipe the device. You can have device location. Um, you can push updates, application installs, compliance rules. You can do a lot of management with your mobile devices directly from a centralized point. Also, Sophos has what we call device encryption. This is really um, a different product because it's not providing any native encryption or Sophos proprietary encryption to your computers. Basically, what Sophos device encryption does is that it takes the management, centralized management for BitLocker, which in most of the cases the company already have available. So BitLocker from Windows is a unmanaged encryption solution, meaning that you have to come up with your own system of management to administrate all of the keys of the encryptions of the computers, which can be a little bit daunting to do. It's a little bit complex because you would have to have a secure file somewhere with all of the keys stored. And if there is any issue with one of the computers, then you will have to be the one to reach out to that specific key for that specific computer and so on. But with this solution, what you can do is that you have all the management centralized and you can enable a self-service portal. So if in at a specific moment some of your users need any assistance with their encryption key, they can just hop onto the self-service portal that Sophos offers, and you can go ahead and restore and do what you need to do without disrupting your service or going out of it to look for that specific key and so on. Moving forward, we have Fishthread. Fishthread, this is a very curious product. because this is not a specific threat protection for phishing attacks. This is a training platform, a simulation platform in which you can simulate a phishing attacks to send out to your users within your company, and then you can get feedback about how everyone is performing. So you can craft an email campaign. You have hundreds of templates available in which you can go ahead and push one of those templates or modify it and customize it to your purposes and push it to your users. And you will see who received the email, who opened the email. And from those who opened the email, you can see who reported it as a phish or spam and who actually didn't. Also, you will see who clicked on the hook that you place inside of the email, that this hook could be credential harvesting, malicious file download, um, malicious website access, and so on. So you can customize the hook that you want to get from your customers or for your users. And then when they click on that hook, they will get a prompt that says this could have been an attack, but it's a simulation. Now you need to complete this specific training. Now, that training, you can select it when you are creating the email campaign. And also, you will be able to see who took the training, who didn't. At the end of the training, they will have an assessment to complete, and you will see who passed the assessment, who didn't. So you will get this report. Usually the campaigns run for 30 days, even though you can run it for longer or for shorter, depending on your target. Now, once you get these reports, you will see what are your most risky users and what are the key aspects that you need to uh, educate them in order to be able to keep them protected. Because most of the attacks that we are seeing on today's cyber threat landscape is that they come by email. It's rarely when you see somebody plugging an infected USB on the computers. It happens, but not quite often as somebody clicking on the wrong attachment or link in their emails. So this is to keep the users aware of what is going on. So this is what is special about this specific product. Moving forward, we have ZTNA, which is Zero Trust Network Access. And basically what this product is a VPN client, so remote connection, but in steroids. What I mean in steroids? Well, basically, what Sophos does with this is that it integrates with your endpoint solution, so your users can connect remotely to your assets inside of your company or to the cloud, uh, wherever you have them. But what makes this special is that you install gateways in each of one of those assets that you want your users to have access to. So when somebody is connecting remotely to your internal network, they will be validated by the user, but also by the device status, because if the device is compromised, the tunnel won't open, which regular VPN is not able to do. And also they will validate what gateways they are allowed to connect to. So if you want a specific user to limit their connectivity to a specific server, to a specific place inside of your company, that it's the place that they are only will get connection to. So in that way, you limit what they have access to, but also you can see if the device has a good protection status or not. And also you will be validating the user that is trying to connect to that specific resource. So that basically comprises what Sophos has to offer on the end user space. Now, on the other side, we have our network protection side, which is comprises by wireless access points. Sophos has now two generations available for access points. We have generation APXs, which is for the 5G Wave 2 access points, which can be managed either in Sophos Central or via one of our firewalls. And then we have our new AP6 generation, which is for Wi-Fi 6, which are now exclusively cloud managed. So if you want to have a network controller for your access points, albeit being a firewall, then you will need to stick with the generation 5. If you don't mind having control only in Sophos Central, then generation 6 is the way to go. Um, One cool thing about this is that you can create mesh networking for seamless routing. So let's say you have a network of 5, 6, 10 different access points throughout the building. You can move up and down, left and right, front to back, and it will be seamlessly connecting you to the nearest access point that you have available in a seamless connectivity without dropping the connection with the user. You can create as well what Sophos calls sites, in which you can create a site, upload an schematic of that specific place, and if you send it over to our wireless help desk, they can create a heat map for you to see where is the best place to put all of the access points needed in a specific building. So there is a questionnaire and a few informations to fill, but Sophos team will be generating a diagram in which they will let you know where are the best places and how many access points you need to place of a specific model of your choosing. Also, we have our firewall solution. Our firewall solution is a very deep one. I would think that we would need an entire meeting just to talk about all of the things that our firewalls have. But just as a quick glance, our firewall products, they have dual processor architecture. What I mean by that, well, we have what we call extreme processor architecture, in which you have your main network processor inside of the unit, and then you have the extreme flow processor, which is to handle encrypted traffic. So, for example, if you're having a Teams call, which is generating a lot of bandwidth, it will hinder the performance of your main processing unit. So, what Sophos is able to do is that it offload that specific traffic to the flow processor, so that processor can take care of the encryption validation of that traffic, freeing up that task from the main unit, thus able to provide a better performance overall. Also within the firewall, you have high availability, different port configurations with different modules. The desktop units, they are able to take a SIM card directly. There is a module for a SIM card in which you can connect to the unit to have a backup alternative of connectivity should you need it. Also, inside of that same lineup, we have what we call red devices. Red devices are basically low cost connectivity devices that need to be tied to a main firewall. So, for example, you have a main data center and you have a few office branches in other places, maybe remote access or remote locations. You can deploy a red device and it will be making a link to the main firewall. So all of the internet traffic goes out from the firewall and you can have control. It will be showing up as another interface within your firewall, and it doesn't work without a firewall being present in the connectivity. It established itself in a wizard form, a tunnel that connects the remote unit and the firewall together. Also, you can have email protection embedded. You can have um, a web application firewall as well from the firewall itself. So you can protect any server that faces to the public, any storefront, any application that you have running on the web. But also, what is very cool about it is that there is a special link, which you see in the middle, which is called security heartbeat, that happens between the endpoint servers and the firewall, which we are going to talk about in shortly. Moving on, we have our email solutions. Now, this is the email protection solution, unlike Fishtrend. So in here, you can deploy basically to any email provider that you're working with. So be Google Mail, um, Office 365, Exchange, or any other web email provider that you're using, you can protect them. You just need to have access to the MX records to validate that you own this domain, and Sophos will be providing you with the protection. Now, one cool thing about it is that Sophos is able to even detect ransomware threats that are coming through the email. And there is a special connectivity with Office 365, Microsoft 365, which is the Flow connector that basically enables you to have an emergency inbox available. So let's say if by any means Microsoft email is having an outage, you are going to be still able to receive email, even though not able to send it, just receive it in read-only mode, but you are still getting the flow of the emails inside uh, to keep you updated. Moving forward, we have switches, which are um, access switches. They are nor core nor distribution switches because those functionalities they are offloaded to the firewall directly. So these switches are access switches. They synchronize with the firewall, and also they are web managed via Sophos Central, which we will talk about in a while. On the bottom half, we have our services offerings, which is rapid response and managed detection and response. I have a saying on this: you can come by pain or you can come by love, meaning that rapid response is a service specifically for customers who have an active threat ongoing on their systems. So if you're going through a ransomware attack, a hacker is getting a hold of your network or your systems, that is where it comes rapid response. It's a response service to neutralize a threat and restore the system to its functional status. Now, this is very, very, very expensive service. That's why we always recommend you to go with managed detection and response, which is basically the opposite of rapid response. Instead of responding to an active attack, managed threat, managed detection and response basically detects before it becomes on a threat and neutralizes on its tracks. So this is a 24 by 7, a 365 a day a year service in which Sophos has a dedicated SOC team to protect your infrastructure, and it has third-party integration with um, Microsoft services and also third-party security vendors like WatchGuard, Fortinet, Proofpoint, and other third-party security providers. Also, we have Cloud Optics. This is our cloud security product. Let's say if you need to protect a workload in the cloud, a database instance, containers like Kubernetes or Dockers, um, environments in Azure, Amazon Web Services, or Google Cloud. This is the product that you need. This is an agentless product. So basically, what you need is to provide administrative rights to the console, and it will be connecting all of your services that you have on that specific cloud environment. And it will be making you a topology, a mapping of all of the assets that you have available, what is their interconnectivity, and what is all of the data flow that happens within them. So you can see If somebody's having access through a different port that you haven't noticed before, you have a cost calculator based on the workload that you're having. It will let you know an estimate about how much consumption you will have by the end of the month, and so on. So it's a very, very intuitive and very non-invasive uh, product to keep your cloud protected. And last but not least, we have our Sophos Central. Sophos Central is basically our cloud managing console. All of these products, all of them, they are managed via this cloud console. So you can link them and you will have complete management, which also enables you to have cross product integration, cross product state right out of the box. So you don't need to configure, let's say, a connectivity between them to share information together. This is already provided with Sophos XDR and Forward. So with the XDR solution in the endpoint and the servers, you are going to be able to cross-relate information that it's happening on your email, on your firewall, on your mobile devices, on your endpoints, on your servers, um, on your switches, on your wireless, on your cloud. Everything is sharing information all together, which is basically poured in this data lake. So this is what we call Sophos Adaptive Cybersecurity Ecosystem, or ACE for short. And it's basically that all of the solutions, they share the information at their core, which is all compiled into a repository that we call a data lake. Then Sophos XOps, which is Sophos AI, Sophos Labs, and security operations, they all access this information to correlate, to provide you with security insights for your systems, which will be reflected on each and every one of the products that we have available. Now, all of these products, you can either manage it yourself or use Sophos Managed Services, which is our recommendation, because who better to manage your security solution than the manufacturer itself? So, also, Sophos had third-party integrations on their managed services and also via open APIs as well. Now, if you remember a few moments ago, I was mentioning that there is a special relationship between our endpoints, servers, and our firewall. And it's the following. It's what we call security heartbeat, which is a part of the synchronized security that Sophos offers. So if an endpoint is compromised, automatically Sophos will be isolating that endpoint from the network. So it won't have any access to internet, any access to any local servers, any access to any other local devices within your network. Just the firewall and Sophos Central Cloud Console, and any site that is a patch in, for example, if you need to download a patch from Microsoft, an update, or a patch from any other solution, then Sophos will allow you to access those from that endpoint so you can download it. Now, as soon as the threat has been neutralized, the endpoint is granted access again to the local devices, local servers, local network, internet. Now, the beauty of it is that all of this happens automatically when you have security heartbeat enabled. So as soon as the endpoint sees that there is a threat inside of it, it will be notifying the firewall, and the firewall will be blocking access. This is done via a firewall rule, uh, because Sophos is the only vendor as of now who is able to perform that at a core level. Other firewalls, other services, other vendors, they allow you to do it, but it's a more manual process. But in this case, it's completely automated. And let's say this is a small or mild threat that Sophos is able to contain. So Sophos will be isolating the endpoint, mitigating the threat, and sending it back to connectivity again. everything automatically right away. So, um, I don't want to burden you with lots of information. I would like to know if you have any questions so far, any doubts, any things that you think that are curious that could be useful for you. Um, Now is the time. Not everybody at the same time, please.
Let's see. Let's see.
Brian,
No questions.
Brian, can you talk about the anti-ransomware option again?
Sure. So Sophos has two modules. It has the anti-ransomware protection and has the crypto guard. One of them is for the firewall, for the ransomware detection. I'm sorry, and the other one is for the file protection. So they work together, and basically, CryptoGuard is a shadow copy file system. So basically, it will be detecting any encryption process that may be running. And as soon as it starts encrypting, it will be following that process and copying the files before the encryption is completed. So once the encryption is done, you have your capture file, but also you have a copy of that file right before the encryption right next to it. So there is no real loss of information going on. Now, on the other side, ransomware protection is analyzing the behavior of the processes, also verifying the information that is available on Sophos Labs and terminating the processes as they are, if they get a chance to be executed. Usually, the response time, the back and forth with everything, is between 20, 50 to 150 milliseconds of it all. So in that time, I highly doubt that an attack could do any damage, if any at all, to the system. So that's the basics how they work. However, they work in conjunction with the behavioral detection that Sophos has, in which also works with um the oh, the vulnerabilities of the systems, because the exploit techniques. So they are all together, different modules working hand in hand. So Sophos is able to detect any attack that may be using one of the vulnerabilities of the systems and any exploit technique known as of today. As a matter of fact, Sophos is able to cover the 25 known exploit techniques and any combinations of them. So, for example, DLL hijack, um, and some others that are there. I don't have the list in front of me right now, but it's 25 exploit techniques that are as of today. They are a result of back in 2017. There was a exploit kit that was leaked from the NSA, which was called the Eternal Blue. And from there is what we see the birth and the rapid growth and evolution of the firewall attack for the ransomware attacks. So Sophos got a hold of this kit and did a reverse engineering, enabling um, Intercept X to be able to detect and know when one of these techniques or any combination of them is being used in a system, enabled to prevent the attacker to gain access to the system. Hope this answers your question, Reginald.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Any other questions?
Apparently, we don't have any more questions, Brian. Um, you guys can also reach out directly to Brian if you need. We can make an appointment. Or you can email him whatever questions you have as well.
Hey, I do have a question. So, morning. Thanks for the presentation. I think it was very useful. My question is, if you needed to reach out to Sophos to provide a demo to a customer, would it be readily available, or do we need to reach out to MC3 directly?
Actually, there are demos available. Let's say if you want to do a trial with a customer, you just need to go to sophos.com or in Google Sophos trial, and it will send you to the link. I will see if I can send you the link via the email that we sent you the invitations, so you can access to a trial
Okay.
directly and test the product. Now,
Yeah. So,
if you
so it,
need,
it,
Mhm.
I actually meant in terms of if you were actually pursuing a customer and you want to demo the product to them, they want to see it in action to see, but not
Of
actually installed
course,
on their infrastructure and so forth.
of course, you can reach out to me at any point. We can schedule a demo. If
Okay.
needed, I can bring a Sophos engineer directly to join us. Um, that is something that we do for sure. If you need it, it's available as well.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any other questions so far? Well, I think everything so far has been pretty clear then. Um, we thank you so much for joining us in this session. Now, for next session, which is next Wednesday, we will be discussing some advanced security features and best practices that you can do with Sophos to help keep your customers protected. So don't miss it and see you next Wednesday.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy your day.